3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to Random Dialogues 34. We're here for the next hour-ish, and I'm going to be joined by 6 speakers, possibly. We'll see. We're just waiting for a couple more to arrive. But meanwhile, I'm joined in the broadcast studio by our first 3 speakers who maybe just going to introduce the name of their talk to start with, and then we're going to do the 3 speakers for 6 minutes each. So welcome, everybody. Enjoy. And if you're tuning in, you can make comments just like you do in normal sort of chats, and we can either get back to you during this broadcast or after. So thank you for being with us as well, whenever you're dialing in. Pam, what are you going to speak about?
So I'm going to be speaking about the Forgotten Evacuation and how I used AI to build a picture of my father's World War II escape from Belgium in 1940.
Well done, thank you. Monisola.
I'm going to be speaking about Accessorise with confidence.
Thank you. Shyne.
Hi, I'm going to be speaking about the journey to making a music festival.
Thank you so much. Right. Well, Pam has spoken with us before, so I put Pam in the spotlight to start with. So well done, Pam, for agreeing to join us first. So I'll put you into solo layout. I'll put the banner across the bottom of the page. And if I ask everyone else to mute, are you ready to go, Pam?
I am indeed.
Enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you.
2 secs. Just going to do maximize. There you go.
So thank you, Jane, and good evening, everybody. I've already told you what I'm going to speak about tonight, and it all began, this journey, by me finding an old box in the corner of the garage and opening up the box, which had been there for many years, and I found this tiny scrap of paper which was signed in September 1944, and it was giving a commendation of my father and a character reference as well. And that made me wonder, what was he doing in Southampton in 1944? Because I thought he'd spent most of the war in Gibraltar. So I decided that I would try and find out a bit more about what was happening at that time in history by using AI, so Copilot and Gemini. And it was really useful in providing clues and pointers, asking me questions and me asking what-if scenarios back, that it helped me to build a really helpful picture. So my father was the age of my friend's grandparents when I was born, and consequently he died when I was in my mid-teens, and teenagers wouldn't think to ask questions about the parents or even grandparents' lives many decades before. But that little bit of paper really made me interested in trying to put together this picture of what he had been up to. Now, all I knew was that my father had been in Belgium in 1940 because he told me he had escaped from the advancing German army. He was a senior warrant officer in the military police. He'd given away his motorbike to a senior officer, and so he then had to find transport, and he found an abandoned car, which he hotwired and started heading to the Franco-Belgium border, picking up wounded and stragglers on the way. When he got to the border, he was nearly shot because of these badges on his car. He ended up in Paris, and from there he managed to escape the continent. Now, all I know from that was that he definitely didn't escape from Dunkirk. So I tried to track down some timelines using AI, and the evacuation of Dunkirk happened between the 26th of May and the 4th of June 1940. The Germans had broken through in May, 10th of May 1940, and the country surrendered in the 28th of May that year. So that sort of gave me a timeline of where my father was. And because he was a military policeman, the AI suggested what sort of work he would have been doing. So keeping the routes open, managing traffic, watching out for infiltrators. And consequently, he would have been one of the last to get out of Belgium. He must have arrived in Paris before the 14th of June, because that's when the city was overtaken by the Germans. And a second evacuation port, this is the Forgotten Evacuation, took place around Saint-Nazaire and the Loire estuary in southwest France. And I found an old photograph that placed him in 1939 in that area. And so I believe that that was the route he must have taken to escape the continent if he wasn't at Dunkirk. From there, I don't know where he went. The ships, some sailed back to the UK, to Falmouth, to Plymouth, Southampton, and others went back to Gibraltar. And I did find a document that placed him in Gibraltar in 1927. So it makes sense to me that was his potential route of escape and where he ended up. So the next part of my journey in discovering what he did and where he was is to go back to primary sources, because as we all know, AI has some great guidance. There's positives and negatives around using it, and I think by using it in the way that I did, I have now got an idea of where to go to find solid concrete facts that I can verify. So the hard work now begins. I'm going to go to Kew Gardens and look at the National Archives. I'm also going to request some of my father's service records. So I'll leave you with one thing. The AI can be really helpful in providing clues and guidance. And if you find a box, an old box in a dusty corner of the garage, be careful when you open it, because you don't know where that journey is going to take you.
Thank you, Pam. Well done. Lots of questions. So I'm now going to ask our next speaker to the stage, the virtual stage. Monisola, thank you so much for joining us here for the first time. I know you've got some people tuning in. I can see some viewers, no pressure. Thank you if you are watching us. And I'm going to invite you to take the solo stage if the rest of us can mute. Let me just put your talk title up and put you, good luck, enjoy.
Thank you, Jane. And good evening, everyone, from wherever you're tuning in from. So I'll be talking to you today about Accessorise with Confidence. It's a workshop that helps women or supports women to reconnect with themselves and to rebuild confidence using personal style as a practical tool. So where did this come from? Well, Accessorise with Confidence was born from reflections of myself, my experiences, and conversations with other women going through seasons of change or life's demands, and me just realizing from that how accessories can be used as a gentle way of reconnecting yourself during such seasons of change. And so my next question, or my question actually, would be, does the way you look shape how you feel, or does how you feel shape how you look? Does the way you look shape how you feel, or does the way you feel shape how you look? And you can say that it's one and the same. But however, I will be telling you briefly about how accessories go in tandem with your well-being. Basically, your aesthetic choices can actually, be a representation of your well-being, because it enhances the choices that you make in terms of accessories, can enhance your confidence, can help you to show up with presence. And accessories actually are a way of communicating, or can be a way of communicating who you are and what you stand for, and they play a major role in your outward appearance. Well, they certainly did for me a few years ago when I was going through a season of hair breakage. And it was a time where, I wasn't really feeling confident in the way I was looking. I was very self-critical, and I was also always second guessing myself. But when I learned the simple tools to show up with presence, and those tools for me were using accessories, mainly headbands, or rather headbands were my tools to show up with confidence, everything kind of shifted for me. And I learned, how to show up with confidence and with presence. And in doing that, I learned that, you can show up as your authentic self when you know what suits you, when you know what shifts your mood, which is what wearing headbands did for me, using those simple tools did for me. I was able to lift my mood, show up with presence, show up, stand up a bit taller, and show up with posture. And basically, accessories as well. Also, when you know what is authentic to you, it helps you to show up with ease and with confidence. And you also speak, or rather, you also show up in a way that you stand taller. When you wear what is authentic to you, it makes you feel good. There's a saying that says that when you look good, you feel good. And that's true with using aesthetics, because when you aligns with your authentic self, you are more self-assured, you express yourself more, and that enhances your mood and your well-being. In terms of using accessories, when you are authentic in what you know that represents you. So for example, if you show up with an accessory that's a bright color, red, for example, I'm wearing red. Red already communicates passion and energy. And when you wear something like that, a bright color, it's already lifting up your mood. Or when you use accessories that are evoking certain memories, maybe positive feelings, that can also lift up your mood, and that enhances your well-being. Again, using accessories is also a way of evoking positive emotions, because you can evoke feelings such as feelings such as joy, excitement, and all those positive emotions are also a way to boost your self-esteem, to boost your confidence, and to improve your mood, all of which help you to show up with more confidence. So the next accessory that you choose, whether it's a hairband, it's a scarf, or earrings, listen to or look at how you show up, how that affects your mood. Because sometimes when you choose these things, you are actually helping yourself to show up with confidence, to show up with, telling people what your values are, having that sort of identity that speaks to who you are. And so that's what Accessorise with Confidence is about. It's about helping women to show up with confidence and with presence and with identity. So my task for you tomorrow, pick up an accessory and look at what you're going to, how that speaks to how you want to show up. Do you want to show up with confidence? Do you want to show up professional? Do you want to show up joyful? And also look at how that shifts your mood. This is what Accessorise with Confidence is, helping you to show up with confidence. We're just giving you this little journey. So show up with confidence, and we can take it further with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well done. And you showed up with confidence and spoke with confidence. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us, everybody. So I'm going to now invite Shyne. So we're going to do a bit of a Q&A for this one. So I think we can just do it here. Yes? Or do you want me to put you into solo layout and ask you questions in solo layout?
I don't mind. You can do, yeah.
Go on, take the solo, because then I think it'd be, I'll ask, then you can then take the stage, yeah?
Okay.
I'll do it this way. I'll leave my mic on, and I will then, before I do that, I'm just going to put your banner up and put you into there. There you go. Well, here we go. Welcome to the stage, Shyne. And actually, you're all about putting people on the stage, so this shouldn't be anything too scary for you.
Yeah, I'm not the one on the stage though normally, so
there you go. Here's your moment to shine.
Yeah.
So we've met a few times, and you have been the pioneering in creating something called Shyne Fest.
Yes.
How did Shyne Fest start, and what is it?
So it started as a party for my 40th birthday. We were going to hire a hall and get a band. And then I was thinking about hiring a particular hall that had some grassy area, and we were going to ask them if we could maybe camp there. And I mentioned it to one of the school mums, and she said that she lived on a farm in West End in Woking, and said, why not do it on her farm? So that's literally how it grew. It's basically was going to be one band, and it ended up being 18 bands. And we camped there for the weekend. We hired a bouncy castle and an ice cream van, and yeah, and that's literally how it began, was for a party.
Amazing. And were you in the events industry before? How did you know how to do all of this?
No, not at all. No. So my husband's a heating engineer. I was in the natural health industry. I had a natural health clinic previously. And so we asked one of our friends who had been in bands and who was managing a band at the time, whether he could source the bands for us. And he's still with us now. He's the main person who gets all the bands together. So we've been doing it with him and his wife ever since.
And sorry, how many bands have you got coming this year? Do you know?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't actually counted this year. I would say probably maybe about 30, something like that.
Okay. And have you sort of had to, obviously we've had times where we've not been able to be live in a middle of a field. Have you sort of had to adapt to those challenges over the years, like relocations, pandemics?
Yeah. So our first venue that we'd had the birthday party, they had actually sold the farm when we had the party, and they moved a month later, so we couldn't have it there again. And it took us a couple of years to find another venue. It was either a case of having a venue that would be absolutely just too big for us, because we only wanted to go to a 500 capacity, start small and work our way up. So we eventually found a farm in Bisley. We had it there for a year, and it was a really great venue, and they were really happy with us. That their issue was they've got horses, and if they were worried that what happens if it rains one year and we end up turning the whole place into a bit of a mud bath, there's going to be nowhere for their horses to go to graze on. So unfortunately they said it was great, but let's not do it again. So we then found it's not a farm. It used to be a farm, but basically it's where they do car boot sales over in Walton-on-Thames. So we were there for 2 years. In between that time, we obviously had the pandemic, so we had to stop for a year and a bit. So we normally do it in June. So we then obviously didn't do it in 2020, but then we did it in 2021 in the September. And then we've always wanted to be back this way, back kind of Woking direction, because this is where we live. Walton-on-Thames is a bit far to go out, especially for like on the weekend we've forgotten something. It's a bit of a drive to get all the way back here and then back there again. So we found Merest Wood College in Worplesdon, and that's where we've been for this will be the fifth year there now.
And you're actually into your 11th year altogether, is that right? Is this your 11th year?
Yes, 11th year since we started. Yeah, I think this year will be our 8th festival.
Okay.
But so giving away my age, yes, it was my 50th birthday last year, so it was our 10th anniversary.
And I'm having been a festival goer myself. My children were babes in arms, and I used to take them on, take them to see gigs and like Florence and Machine, and they kind of grew up in that world. I think it was a real opportunity for free range children a little bit. It was I felt sort of safe that they could go off a little bit as they got older and explore and come back, and we'd camp. So do you feel like you've had families and kids come with you on this journey?
Yeah, absolutely. So Kieran and his family, he's got 2 kids, we've got 2 kids. In fact, I think the very first one of them, Colleen, was pregnant with her daughter. And now, like, our oldest is 20 and their youngest is 11. So yeah, they've just grown up with it basically. And then we have friends who come every year, their kids have grown up with it as well. And it's been a really nice stepping stone as well, because we are small. We're only a 5,000 capacity now. We're not like the bigger festivals, but it's a nice start off festival for people to, test the water, see what the kids are going to be like. And it's really, really safe as well. It's completely enclosed. There's no way that they can get out. And because it's a small festival, there's nowhere to hide even really. So it's, the kids can just run free for the weekend and just give it a go.
Fantastic. So in our last minute of our 6 minutes, what are you what actions you sort of take to make it a bit more sustainable? Because I guess, there can be a lot of, I've gone to festivals, there can be a lot of rubbish everywhere. And so what are you how are you addressing that?
So we've got a lovely group called the Woking Litter Warriors. They come every year and do our litter picking. So the place is always lovely and tidy. Not that our festival goers are messy in any case. They're all really, conscientious, and they throw their stuff away. We used to have the throwaway cups, for drinks. And that was just seeing that at the end of the weekend, the amount that we used to throw away. So I think it was in 2022, we went to reusable pint cups so that people can either bring them back each year and use them, or they can get a new one each year. And that saved us a huge amount of rubbish. It's been crazy. So that's two ways that we've made it more sustainable.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for coming on to share the journey to making a festival. It sounds like a lot of hard work, but also very rewarding. Yeah. And I'm looking forward to joining you this year on the Friday.
Yes, yeah.
Looking forward to it. So thank you. So I'm going to just take down the banner, 2 secs. There we go. So that just shows, oh, I have to do both. My husband's just come in from the allotment and he's banging around out there. Okay. Now I'm going to welcome also to join us to the stage, Debra. Hello, Debra, welcome.
Hello, thank you very much for having me.
Wow, so thank you so much for the lastminute.com. I've literally just messaged Debra as we began to say, would you mind hopping in? You've spoken before, could you stand in? Because we've had a couple of people who haven't been able to make it, unfortunately. So thank you so much. So far we've had 3 fantastic speakers. Anyone like to ask anybody any questions so far? There might not be questions now, we can always ask after, but just in case anyone's got a question for anybody, or if anyone's tuning in and would like to ask a question, please do fire ahead. I'm going to just mute because my husband's put the tap on.
I have a question, Jane, please, to ask of Shyne. What advice would you give to someone who was wanting to start out in event management like you?
Oh my goodness. Don't. Crumbs, that's a huge question. I suppose it would really depend on what kind of event they want to do. Then I could maybe give them advice of like where to get started, like maybe whether it's an indoor event or an outdoor event, what you need to do for the council, because obviously you've got to get the safety advisory group involved, the police, the fire, all of that kind of stuff, security, alcohol license. There's it would just really, really depend on what they're going to be doing and what capacity as well, because obviously if you go over 500, then that opens up another way of doing things, basically, that the council need you to do. And then if you go over 10,000, then obviously that gets even huger. So is that word? Which is why we don't do that. We go up to 5,000 because that's easy-ish.
Well, thank you. It sounds like you've learned an awful lot along the way that perhaps you don't realise until you start speaking about it.
Yeah, it's been a huge learning curve. It really has.
Yes.
Massive, yeah.
Could I ask a question to Shyne as well? Shyne, so in my village, every year they put up Christmas trees along the shops, which are done by volunteers. And they weren't able to do it this year because basically the health and safety had gotten so protective that it was going to cost a fortune. They were going to have to pay, sort of qualified electricians and do all sorts of testing and like a massive amount of effort that for something which is a volunteer-led thing for a village, they couldn't do. Have you found that as you've gone through over, the last 10, 11 years, that the challenges that you have to, I guess, fight through for insurance, for health and safety and all of that, have they become more difficult?
Definitely. I mean, especially when the capacity goes up, then there's obviously more. So we have to, like I mentioned, the safety advisory group. So we have to do a report for the police, the fire. We have to do for security, for children's safety. We have to get everything signed off by an electrician, a qualified electrician. We have to get all these structures and everything signed off by the people that put them all up. Yes, yeah, basically, yeah. The bigger you get, the more you have to do, definitely. And then there has to be, each year we have to submit to the safety advisory group, because each year the laws have changed or the parameters have changed. We have to make sure that we're, sticking with them for this particular year. You can't just copy. You can kind of copy and paste each year, but you have to make sure that all the new legislations are all kind of woven into the documents.
Thank you. And Monisola, I've got a question for you, actually, sort of in terms of going to a festival, capsule kind of bling. Is there anything you'd recommend we pack if we were going to a festival?
So I laugh because I think somebody's asked me some time ago about, like, obviously festivals have like that camping feel, and I'm always like, no, I'm team luxury over here. So but in terms of simple, I would say obviously jeans, t-shirts. I believe that's the question you're asking me. Yeah. So yeah, just keep.
I mean, kind of like what to pack and what bling might we take with us to kind of like make ourselves shine and feel confident.
Oh yeah, well, definitely for me it would be a headband. So I would say headband because they're simple to put on. Then also you could do scarves. Scarves as well are good. If you like earrings, statement earrings are also a good one to do. But yeah, and then also because you have a bag, you need a bag. So why not take a colorful one, a bright colored bag? Yeah, that would be good. A large one as well for all your essentials that you need.
Fabulous, thank you. Thank you, everybody. Any more questions? Pam, I'm trying to think of a question to ask for your. I'm kind of thinking I do want to continue reading more about what you're doing, and I want to follow this journey. So, are you going to put it on your blog, your newsletter?
Yes, Jane. Yes, I think I will, because there were two angles I was going to come to on delivering this talk. One was actually more around the AI side and not talking about the detail. And then there was the one that I delivered. So I think that's a great idea. I do need to put it in my newsletter about how you can use AI in different ways, the brainstorming, the what if scenarios, where might I find other information. So it's a starting point. It's like a research buddy, I think. Yes. And that's how I've used it. So I now have clear ideas of where I can go to get further information, and I'm definitely going to do that.
Thank you. I look forward to reading it.
And I've found this photograph from 1939, and it's written on the back. There's a stamp from an official in 1939, and there's a whole thing around there to be investigated. So
to be continued.
To be continued, absolutely. Thank you.
So my what if question for Random Dialogues was, what if speakers don't show up? What will I do? I know that I've got Debra and a couple of other speakers who've been before and are quite happy to show up. And that's the whole point of doing this. You show up, give it a go. Quite often you can come back again, like Pam's done tonight as well, and come and talk about something else, and it kind of hopefully builds your confidence. And my talk's going to be called What Would You Speak About? And I'm going to speak after Debra, if that's okay, Debra. Now, we had a quick exchange before you came on, and I've made a little banner actually I'm just going to pop it up if I can find my banner.
And I'm just going to apologize for my poor lighting as well.
That's okay. We're just
I'm
so
a bit
pleased you're here.
mysterious.
And the whole point is this isn't about perfection. This is about random dialogues and allowing us just to be a little bit not too contrived, kind of free flow. So you've said thinking about your audience as possibly the title of your talk or Q&A. Do you want to talk about it free flow, or do you want me to do a Q&A with you?
Why don't I talk about it free flow, and then if I run out of steam, you can
We'll
ask
all be
me
listening
questions.
in. All right, we're listening. So I'll put the time on for 6, and then we'll see how we go, and then I can bring you back into the fold, and we can ask you questions to take it to 6. All right. Well, thank you so much, and good luck, and enjoy.
No worries. Thank you. So I've been a little bit more active on LinkedIn over the last week or so. I always kind of dip in and out, but not too consistent in the past, well, probably a year. And one of the things that happened to me just the other day was I got a connection request through. Now, this happens all the time. I'm sure anybody else who's using it gets exactly the same experience. But this person, when I connected to them, immediately sent me a message saying, oh, hey, would you like me to tell you a little bit more about my services? Now, that for me is always a bit, annoying. It's like, come on, get to know me a little bit first. But I replied back, very politely and said, no, I'm not up for any sales calls at the moment. Thank you. So my fresh new LinkedIn contact wrote back to me and said, okay, that's great. I understand. I've attached a 5-minute video that maybe you can have a look at to see what I do and to, maybe share with other people. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I was having a little bit of a grumpy day anyway. So when I saw this, I kind of sighed. Now, if you look at LinkedIn, you'll see that I've done a post on this, and there I said I sighed. And I did, because I thought, oh, come on, really? And there are 2 angles to this. The first is you've leapt right in and you started trying to sell to me or to tell me all about yourself without that getting to know you. Now, that's a completely different topic, and we won't go down that, or I won't go down it just yet. But the other side is that you've asked me to do something, and you've asked me to do something that I've already told you I'm not interested in. And you've asked me to spend 5 minutes of my time looking at this video. And it made me think about how easy it is. And it's something that I brought up with clients and things before, but how easy it is to communicate in the way that is easiest for us. So for this person, the video was the easiest way. It meant they could put it in, they could say what they wanted to say, they could get their message across. For me, I wasn't interested. I didn't want to spend 5 minutes watching it. I don't actually watch a lot of videos because I read quickly and I like reading. I would much rather scan a little written blurb than actually try and watch a video. Needless to say, I didn't watch the video. I did reply back and say, to be honest, you're asking me to spend this time. And to be fair to my wannabe contact, they wrote back and said, oh, well, I don't actually have anything that explains it as well as the video, but here's a little blurb. The blurb was perfect. It was just the right length. It gave me enough information to know what they do. It gave me a link to their website in case I wanted to go and get more information. And if they'd done that, I would have left the conversation quite positive. But because we had the little video interlude, I've left it thinking about, they're wanting me to do stuff. So not just videos do this. Another one that drives me mad, and I know drives other people mad, is on WhatsApp or other things where people leave you a voice note. Because again, the voice note is quick and simple. It's, hey, I can just, hit it on my phone and record what I want to say. Fantastic. And off it goes. But again, what you're asking is you're asking the recipient to take their time to make sure they're in a place or a situation where they can actually listen to it. They can, they might have to go somewhere else. They might have to make sure they put their headphones on. Whereas if it was just a quick written message, they'd be able to scan it and go, oh yeah, I do want to know more, or I need to call that person, or whatever the action is. The other thing about voice notes in particular, well, actually, to be honest, I think videos as well, is we tend to ramble. So in my experience of voice notes, they'll start off with, oh, hey, Debra, I just thought I'd drop you a quick voice note because I thought that would be easier. And I'm just going to, and by the time you've rambled on about your introduction, telling me why I'm getting a voice note, again, if you'd written it, I would have seen it, and, you know, I'd got the point by then. So it's really about thinking about your audience. Do they want the information you are sharing with them? And do they want it enough that they're going to listen to a voice note, that they're going to choose to watch a video? Or if you're sending an email, that they're going to open an attachment or go to your website to find the information? If they've asked for the information, that might be perfectly valid and might be the absolute best way to get the information to them. But if they haven't, think about who's doing the heavy lifting. Are you making life easier for yourself while asking more of your audience or the recipient? If I'm trying to promote myself, I don't want to assume that this person is going to go off and click on a link or open my PDF or whatever else they're going to do. I want to make sure it's as easy as possible for me to capture their attention, and that then if they want further information, they can go off and seek it. So it's really, for me, it's about thinking about who is my audience, what is my relationship with them, and what am I asking of them? And are they going to do that willingly? So that was just it, thinking of my audience or thinking of your audience when you're communicating in whatever form and with whomever you're communicating with. And that's true for business and personal.
Well done. Thank you so much. That was almost 6 minutes, Debra, off the cuff. Thank you. So I'm going to actually do my talk now, and then there'll be 5 of us. We'll see if anyone else shows up last minute. Nolan might be able to make it, and then we'll go into Q&A and then we'll wrap up. So thank you. I'm going to just ask if you would mind muting, because I won't be able to do talking and everything at once. That's way too much for me to cope with. So I'm going to put up my talk title. I haven't spoken at Random Dialogues for a while, so I'll go into solo. Let's see if I can do both at the same time. So what would you speak about? So maybe have a pen and paper ready if you're watching this on live or on record or even in the studio now. So you've just heard 4 powerful voices, 4 speakers. Different stories to share, different perspectives on life and things, and different energies. And so I want to turn the spotlight onto you. So if you're sitting in the room now watching, you're a future speaker, a future storyteller, a future catalyst. I'm going to ask you a question. If you had 6 minutes, what would you say? If you're not sure where to begin, think about these. What do people always ask you about? What have you lived through or learned? What do you care deeply about right now? What conversation do you wish people were having more of? Now, your talk at Random Dialogues here doesn't have to be perfect, as I've said earlier. It can just be real and relatable and from your heart, importantly, something you feel passionate about. So if you were to say yes, how to get started? Well, you could. Some people are quite good at just talking off the cuff. You know, it's quite easy for them. But if you're not, here's some tips. So I think start with a question, a bold statement, a moment, sort of to grab attention, and then think about the next 3 or 4 minutes. So maybe that's the first sort of minute. The next 3 or 4 minutes, maybe share a personal story, a lesson that you've learned, or an idea worth exploring. I think all the speakers this evening have done just that in different ways. And then sort of the 1 minute, it's sort of takeaway. What are you going to leave people with? You're going to leave with a question, a lesson you've learned, a reflection, or something they can do. So I've obviously asked at the start of this, get a paper and pencil and start thinking about it. My call to action is, come and speak. So will you, after these activity sort of step forwards. And it might seem a bit of a stretch right now, but I'm just sort of creating that sort of possibility in mind. It might be a little bit of a nudge for you right now to think, maybe I could give this a go. And now some of you might think, no, I really want to do it. This is my moment. So come and have a chat with me, because sometimes all it takes is a conversation, a little structure, a bit of encouragement. I can certainly help map things out with you and get you thinking about your ideas. And suddenly you're sort of not just tuning in and listening to randomdialogues.com, but you're actually here speaking with us. So Random Dialogues is about sparking the unexpected. It's about thinking about what's a topic, issue or subject that you feel passionate about and would like to share. So yes, hop on over to randomdialogues.com, come and see me, and we'll make it happen. So thank you for listening to my little impromptu talk. I'll let myself off the stage, take my banner down, hide. Oh, there. Oh, no, it keeps taking me back in and out. Let me try one time. Minimize. That's it. I think it's where I was clicking it and then re-clicking it. So I'll welcome myself back to the studio, back to everybody in the studio. There's no more speakers arrived, so should we all unmute and perhaps some final questions? Has anyone got any final questions? And if not, we can always put them into the newsletter, and I can ask stuff in the newsletter as well, because I use that as a very much an ongoing broadcast as well. Different mediums, so not just video, Deborah.
There are loads of different mediums. I have a question, Jay. It's maybe more of a comment for yours, for if somebody is kind of tempted and wants to try out, coming on and speaking for the 6 minutes, to just, I guess, reassure them that it, as you've said, it can be very impromptu, it can be practiced, it can be whatever they need it to be, and that you're there to, I guess, jump in if need be. So, if I'd stopped dead at 2 minutes, it wouldn't have been a problem, because you would have stepped in to help carry on that conversation and to help learn more and to draw more out of me. So just, I guess, saying that, you're there to support and to boost people in bringing their conversations to light.
Yes, and sometimes people have come with zero speaking experience before, and they've liked this sort of format, this relaxed format. And also some people have been to TED Talks and done TEDx talks before and come here and actually thought, oh, I really like this. It's just because obviously for some talks, you have to really learn everything off by heart. Obviously I read from something while I did mine, and that's absolutely fine as well. And other people have come and been to Random Dialogues, returned, or gone on to do bigger speaks, bigger speaking opportunities. So I think it can be quite a catalyst. And it's, I think I started off with thinking tonight about, shall I talk to you guys and say, what would you like to do next after this? You've had a go. Where would you like to go and speak? Because I think really important to get out there and speak about what you love doing. And maybe you'd like to think about, what would I speak about if I came back again? So yeah, hopefully it's sort of been a bit of a catalyst for you, and helped you get clear. And I know we make the little speaking profiles as well, which I'll share out after the event, because again, this sometimes happens where we don't always have the speakers, and I've shared something out and it hasn't been the speakers that I originally said. So, and again, the people who haven't made it tonight, hopefully will come in the future as well. So if anyone has any more questions or not.
I have a reflection for what Debra was saying, that having made that connection with someone and then they're instantly into selling mode, it takes me back to actually networking and things that I've learned from your book, Jane, and elsewhere, is that when you are networking, you need to meet people, get to know them, like them, trust them. And if you apply that to what happens in LinkedIn, it's missing out some of those steps. It's, come across your name, right, I'm straight into selling without having built up any sort of relationship. So it was just a reflection. It wasn't a question.
But it's completely true, Pam. It is all about know, like, and trust. So even in our wonderful digital age, it's still about know, like, and trust, and launching in, whether it's in networking or on LinkedIn or somewhere else, rarely works if you're trying to sell a service, because I don't have a clue who you are, and I don't want to be sold to. So as you say, building the know, like, and trust is critical in my view.
Right, thank you.
And I think community is key still, you know, like having these communities, because there is so much noise out there, and how do you get heard beneath all the amongst all that noise? So, you know, I think we each are connected into different communities here, as I know you all, and like, you know, festivals, you know, it's that sense of belonging to something, a movement, a group, a team, because that's where the trust is, and that's where it grows, and that's when you start maybe sort of selling and buying from each other more, and rather than some random person pitching you on LinkedIn. So without further ado, the next Random Dialogues is in June, so that'll be Random Dialogues 35. And I put a kind of a waiting list survey. I've got quite a lot of speakers actually for June. I think January was quite hard. I didn't do January in the end, so I think people want to get out and speak, even though they're doing it from home. And March, obviously, we're having this spring awakening. Here we are, and then we'll go into June. So thank you so much for joining me and us. And we'll see you all soon. And anyone who's spoken this evening, I will put you into the newsletter with tags. So if anyone wants to find out about anyone who's spoken this evening, it'll be at randomdialogues.com, and everyone's links will be in, well, you know, their places to find them will be in there if they want to be found or not. Thanks a lot. See you all soon. I'm going to end the stream. I'll take us back to the broadcast room so you can have a chat there. So
thank you very much.
Thank you.